React to my messages if you guys are ready to start programming. Alright, I think we'll start then. So first thing I want you to do is go into your source folder, and inside your source folder we're going to create another file. So let's go into pages, and inside pages I want you to create a file, okay? We're going to name this file firebase.jsx. So all of you just do that. All of you done creating? You just need to open your source folder, go into your pages folder, and create a new JSX file called firebase.jsx. That's all we've done today. Just do it really quick. All of you done? React to my message.
Okay.
25. Make it faster, guys. We have a lot to program today. So many new concepts also. Alright, so once you've created firebase.jsx, I want you to go into your index.js file, and we'll have to cut some stuff from here and paste it into the firebase.jsx file. Yesterday we just put it in the index file, but then I realized that you would have to have the same Firebase configuration in multiple components. So the best way to reuse them is to like put them in a file of its own and then import that file into your components. So we're just going to make a small rearrangement here, and I'll tell you which ones exactly you're going to cut, okay? I want you to start off from line 4 here and cut the whole thing all the way up to line 20. This entire part that has to do with Firebase, right, in the index.js file, I want you to cut the entire thing. Select all of it and then cut it. The entire Firebase configuration along with all the imports from Firebase alone. Lines 4 to line 20. If you guys have followed the exact same spacing and all of that I've done, just cut that, okay? Don't delete it, cut it instead. Once you cut it, I want you to paste it inside the Firebase file, okay? Or if you just do that and then let me know once you've copy pasted it. Not copy pasted, but more like cut and paste. I don't want it in the index file, okay? Just cut it out of the index file and paste it into the Firebase file. So your index file would look exactly the way it did before, okay? All the Firebase stuff goes inside a file called firebase.jsx. All if you do that and then react to my message really quick. 24. Okay. When I say react to my message, I want all of you to react. Some of you don't react. You just leave the count as it is, so it doesn't match with the number of people watching the live stream. In which case, I can't continue. So when I say react, I want all of you to react. There should be 37 reactions on the message. Alright, once that is done, close the firebase file. We don't have to do anything else to it. We'll import it later on, and we'll just use it later on. Okay? No big deal. Yep. Afterwards, go into your login file and login.jsx, and here we're gonna do some more work. So yesterday all we did was we rendered a view, right? And if you guys remember from the output that we got yesterday, we had the name of the application and a small button that says sign in with Google. We don't have anything else in it, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to import firebase authentication, and we're going to connect that button to Google, and we're going to do the actual authentication process entirely. Okay, so once the whole thing is wired up and it works perfectly, then we'll move on to building our home page, the page that we see once we log in. So when all of you are ready, we'll move on to that. 35 reactions on that message, so I guess we can just move on to that. So the first thing I want you to do is go into your button, and we're going to add another attribute to a button. Okay, we're going to add another attribute to a button. This is going to be the on-click attribute. Okay, do on-click lower camel case. Okay, always remember in JSX, when there's two words, the second word would be capitalized. Okay, so it's always going to be lower camel case. First word starts with lowercase. The second, everything else after the second word onward would start with uppercase. Okay, so just do on-click is equal to, and a single pair of braces, inside which we are going to do a function call. Okay, just do onClick is equal to a single pair of braces, and we're going to write the name of a JavaScript function. So we're going to call a JavaScript function inside this. Okay, and the name of the function that I'm giving it, I want you all to follow the same name, so you guys would easily be able to debug stuff if anything goes wrong. Okay, just call the sign in with Google. Okay, all of it in lower camel case. Okay, sign in with Google, lower camel case. Be very careful about the spellings, don't make typos. Look at the stream, concentrate and just type it, and make it quick, please. OnClick is equal to sign in with Google. That's the name of our function. We haven't written the function yet, so we're going to write the function, and then once we do it, clicking this button is going to call that function. So just type in the name of, just do the function call thingy here, and once you've done that, just react to my message. $26. Come on, make it faster, guys. Also remember, when I say we're gonna make a note-taking app or a note app, I want you guys. I'm only gonna teach you guys how to make a very oversimplified version of it. Okay, and we're gonna use Firebase and Firestore, Firebase authentication and Firestore, but we are going to use it in a very non-conventional way. The way we're gonna use it is not how you would do it if you're building a real-world application. Okay, I'm just using Firebase for the sake of its simplicity. So the way we use Firebase and Firestore here is not the way you would do it if you're writing, a production application. So I'm not teaching a lesson on Firebase or Firestore. So don't take every single Firestore principle I apply here and then build your own application. Instead, I'm teaching you only how React works. So take only the React concepts that I'm teaching you. Don't look at the way I'm using the Firebase library. I'm using it in a very non-conventional way, okay, just to make things easier and keep it very simple, right? And we haven't handled a lot of cases. For example, error cases, like in terms of let's say you try to create a node and the request on the network fails. We're not handling that case. In case the person I don't know, just negative testing is not being done here, okay? We are only going to assume that the user knows exactly how to use the app and he's going to use it properly, and we're going to write code only for that. We're doing this purely for learning the concepts, okay? So don't this isn't a tutorial on how to build apps with Firebase in the real world, right? So now what I want to do is we are going to import something called the history thing, okay? So we're going to do import, and this is going to be use history from React router DOM. Just import that, okay? Use history. Use history is like an inbuilt function that comes with React router DOM. What it basically does is, let's say you guys start off by going to the main website, okay? Localhost 3000 / that's the starting page, right? From there, let's say you go to /home /account /profile, and you guys would travel multiple routes, right? So now what happens is every route that you travel to gets pushed into a stack called the history, okay? And whenever you want to look at the history of pages that the user has traveled in his browser, you can use history, and you can traverse the stack, and you can basically go back, or you could push a new route into the history and redirect the person, all kinds of stuff. So history over here basically refers to the browser, the browser history that came from your website. That's basically what use history does. So you guys import that. The next thing that I want you to import is Firebase itself. So we're going to do import Firebase from Firebase /app, okay? After which we have one last import. We're going to import Firebase /authentication. So those 3 lines, once you guys put those 3 lines in, let me know. I'm gonna paste that into the chat just in case you guys need it. React to that message once you've finished typing down all 3 imports, okay? Just react to that message really quick. Also, I have one small question for you guys. I just need you to text me, okay? Don't type anything. Instead, actually, you know what? We'll do this later. I'll ask you this question later. I'll get help from Fabi or someone. Come on, guys. 30. I need 6 of you more. 5, 4, 3. Are any of you stuck somewhere? Because I don't see the previous previous number of reactions also go up. It's at 33. I'm just going to continue that. So we're going to write a function. This function is going to be like any regular JavaScript function, okay? And why you would put this function is right above the return statement inside the main function that you're exporting, okay? You see the little gap here that I've created? That's where you're going to put your function. So you can write any number of functions one after the other, and this is where you put your functions in before the return statement inside the main function that you're exporting, okay? So regular JavaScript function. So the syntax would be function, name of the function, an empty pair of parentheses. If there are parameters you want to pass, you put them in the parentheses, and then an opening and a closing brace, and all of your functions code will be inside those braces, okay? So that's basically what you're going to do. This function is going to be called sign in with Google, I'm not passing any parameters, so it's going to be empty, and opening and closing brace, and we're going to start typing our actual code in here to sign in with Google. Okay. Or if you just create that function, and once you do, let me know. The next step is pretty easy because we are not going to type any code, but we're going to copy paste code from the Firebase documentation directly. We don't have to waste time on typing the actual code. We can just copy paste the code. Okay, I'll copy paste it for you in the chat, and you guys can copy it from the chat and then paste it into the function call, so we don't have to open the website and travel to it and all that. "19 reactions." Make it quicker, guys. Once you complete up until here, there's no need for you to type anything. You're only going to copy paste what I give you from now on, because what I'm giving you right now, what you're going to copy and paste is from the Firebase documentation. You don't have to type any of it. You don't have to memorize the terms, like what exactly it does. Just copy it and paste it. You'll get the logic yourself. Okay. 30 people have reacted. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to define something called a provider. Okay. The provider can be anything. It can be, your custom email ID password function. It can be Facebook. It can be Apple. It can be Microsoft. It can be Google. It can be Twitter. It can be any social service, social network. Okay. Or basically any SSO provider. So we're going to create a provider, and I'm going to paste that code in for you here. So just copy that line and paste it in. Okay, that's the first line that you're going to paste in. Once you do that, react to that message that I just posted. Copy paste it, don't type it. You'll make mistakes. There's too many cases, and there's like a specific syntax. "23, 24. Guys, don't react with Aiden. What are you doing? Alright, it's just copy pasting, so I'm not going to give you much time for this. Make it really quick. The second piece I'm going to paste is the actual function that calls the Google sign-in page, and it redirects the user. It doesn't redirect the user. Instead, it opens a pop-up, and the user can select which Google account he wants to sign into. And once he does that, he can he'd be redirected back to the application. The application would then get something called a JWT. We'll talk about that in detail in a minute, but just copy paste the function that I just pasted in the chat. React to the message once you do that. I'm going to give you only 30 seconds. Make it really quick. Shouldn't take more than 30 seconds for this. Copy paste it right underneath the line we just pasted. All of you done? That's it. Now what I want you to do is save the file and go back to your browser. You should see the output on your browser. Click on the Google sign in button. You should get a pop-up that asks you to sign into Google. So just do that really quick. I'm going to go into my browser too, and in case it throws an error and it says not defined blah blah blah, all you got to do is reload the page and it should show you the output. After which, if you click on sign in with Google, it should, just give me a second.
Firebase.js should be imported.
Yeah, we forgot to import that file. Give me a sec. Yeah, so let's just import the firebase thingy. Go back to your code, and on top we are going to import the firebase file. Yep, now it should hopefully work. Has been created called firebase.initialize app. Okay. No, this is some other problem. Give me a sec. Let me figure this out. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just looking at the code here. Alright, so the mistake was that if you go back to your VS Code, right? Go back to your code editor and look on top. We did import Firebase, right? It should have been /Firebase. I missed the /, so it didn't really make a reference to the file. So just include that, import /Firebase. Once you do that, your code should work. Just go back to your browser after that, and if you click on the sign in with Google button, it's going to open a little pop-up that asks you to choose which Google account you need to sign into. Okay, just do that for me really quick. Once you do that, just react to that message. Anand, make sure you have the little make sure you got the import right here, and make sure you have the configuration in a separate JSX file. Okay, otherwise the next part won't work for you. It has to be in a common file that we have to import.
Anna, can you show the login.jsx?
Yeah, give me a sec. Which page am I on? Yeah, login.jsx. Just look at that. Make sure it's exactly the same as this. Okay, only then the home page will work. How many of you are stuck? 16 people have got it. In case you're stuck, just look at the code on my login.jsx page. You should see the code here. Uh, 18. How many of you are stuck? Please let me know. I'll help you guys. Might be some really small mistake. If you're stuck, just ask me. Don't waste time trying to figure it out. Just ask me where you. Tell me where you're stuck, and I'll help you really quick. We have to finish a lot today. My original plan is to finish making a private route, show you how to build your own higher order component. I'm also going to teach you how to build a class component, and we're also going to build a home page. We are also going to look at how you can make a form, control the form, and also connect to Firestore and create an actual node on your backend, on your Firestore database. Okay, 6 things we got to finish technically. We were delayed yesterday, so a little bit came, a little bit overflowed to today's session. So we'll have to complete all of that really quick, because if we don't, then by the 30th, it might be kind of hard to complete the entire thing app. So just try to focus and get it done really quick, please. "24, 6, 7, 10 of you. Yeah. What happened to the other 10? Guys, tell me if you're stuck. Finish this really quick. "28. Guys, I'm gonna move on in 30 seconds. I told you, if you're stuck, ask me what the problem is. We can't waste time here. JSUria already exists. Firebase app default already exists. Did you delete the stuff from the index.js file? You're supposed to cut it and then paste it into the Firebase file. If you copy pasted it, and it'll only exist once here. So you'll basically initialize Firebase twice inside the same application. And that's how you get the error that you got.
I did now.
Show me the code to your logon.jsx page. Nothing is popping up. Rohan Jabaraj. Okay, you also send your code for your logon.jsx file. /firebase, firebase app, firebase auth. Have you enabled JSUria? First of all, save all the pages that you just modified.
Okay.
Save all the pages. Nothing is popping up. Okay, let's see. Rohan Jabraj, what did I tell you? Name the functions. Okay, wait. Let's see. Google. Rohan Jabraj, did you save all the pages after making changes? Did you enable Google sign-in for on Firebase? You'll have to enable that. Did you do it yesterday? On-click spelling is incorrect. Yeah, your on-click spelling is incorrect. It's double I. Okay, perfect. Who else is remaining? 30. Okay, come on. 35 has to be there, right? Guys, Jayasuri and Rohan, just react to that message if you've gotten your output, so I'll know how many people remain. 31. 33. Okay, perfect. I need 3 people more. Who else was remaining? $34. 2 people remain. Guys, if you don't want, then I'm just if you're not gonna ask me, then I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. If you get stuck, then you'll remain stuck for the rest of it. Right, so that's about the login thing. There's only one more thing. What you do is go back to your browser, and once you go to your browser, I want you to hold down a specific key combination if you're on Windows, okay? If you're on Mac, I don't know the key combinations. I think it should be Command Shift and I. On Windows, it's Control Shift and I, okay? Control Shift I. So just hold on those keys for me. Control Shift I on Windows. Command Shift I on Mac. All if you did that, did you get this little window that looks like this? It should say console on the right. For some of you, it'll be at the bottom. If you moved it to I've moved mine to the right, so yours can be at the bottom. Doesn't make a difference. So just move it to, just open this and keep this open. It should be on the console tab, okay? Do that really quick. React to my message once you have your console open, okay? Control Shift I on Windows, Command Shift I on Mac. Once you open it, just let me know. For some of you it might be at the bottom. You can move it by clicking on the 3 dots and changing the position here. I like mine on the right side, so I always keep it on the right. Or if you do it really quick, Control Shift I on Windows, Command Shift I on Mac. After which you basically click on the console tab. So your console tab should be open. There might be some errors from some in red or warnings in yellow. You can ignore all that. Just right click and clear console, okay? Clear it for now and just leave it empty like this. Right click and clear console, keep it empty. So we're gonna look at what exactly is happening in real time, okay? The entire process of Google sign-in, we're gonna look at it in real time. All if you're done, got on the console, react quickly to that message. There's about 14 people more. You guys stuck? 26, 27, 28, 29. Perfect. Come on. Alright, so now what I want you to do is click on the sign in with Google button, and it's going to ask you which Google account you want to sign into, right? In case you have multiple accounts. In case you have one account, it's directly going to sign in. Okay, it's going to open, it's going to close by itself. So just do that. Once that is done, just look at your console, okay? You can see the requests that happen in the console. I'm going to enlarge mine a little more. And you can see that there are network requests that go to Firebase, right? At the bottom, you see this little thing here. This little piece of JSON. This JSON here is the response from Google's sign-in function, okay? So if you click on the little right arrow next to it, click on the little right arrow, it's going to expand. And inside which you can see a bunch of different JSON objects, okay? And you can expand the object that says user, and as you scroll down, you're going to see a bunch of details. For example, if you look at display, they have a key called display name, and it shows you your name, full name. My name is Daniel Mark, so it shows my name from my Google account. Below which I have email, and it shows my email from Gmail. Email verified, true. And if you go down to the bottom, it has like a bunch of other information. For example, it doesn't list my phone number because we don't have permission to access phone number. It gives me a refresh token. This I'll tell you what it is used for later on okay, down the road when we get to more complex stuff. UID. So note down this little thing called UID. This thing is a unique identifier think of it as your roll number, your register number in college. No matter what year you are in, even if you've passed out and it's been 10 years, your register number would be unique, right? Across the entire university, across the entire state, basically. It would be unique. 31117205022. Yours might be the same format, but it'll be different. It's going to be unique. Think of the UID as your register number. This is going to be unique across the entire Firebase project that you created. So if your Firebase project, the one that you created, has say 10 million, 20 million, or even a billion people, this UID is going to be unique for all of them. It's not going to be the same for any two people. So this is basically what you would be using to uniquely identify each user. So this is my UID, and there's like photo URL. If you open this, it's going to be my Google profile picture and stuff like that. So you have a whole bunch of information that Firebase returns to you, okay? So once we get this information, we know that the user has successfully signed in. And when a user successfully signs in, what should we do next? Let me ask, what do we ask? Vinod, can you tell me? Vinod, are you here? What happens when a person successfully signs in? What should you do next? Logically, what should you code next? இப்போ button click பண்ணியாச்சு, pop-up தந்துருச்சு. You've selected your Google account, sign in native, we have console, we have logged a whole bunch of information. அடுத்த step என்ன பண்ணணும் நம்ம? Come on, type faster, dude. We don't have all day. We'll use what? Use பண்றது சரி. What should the next logical step be in any login system? The person has authenticated successfully and he's signed in. What should the next step be? Okay, anybody can answer. Anybody can answer this question. We'll go to user profile homepage. Okay, perfect. You'll do a redirect, okay? So you don't let them stay on the login page. You have to let them go to their actual homepage, okay? So we're going to do a redirect now. So let's go back to our editor and we'll start writing code for the redirect function. And if you guys noticed, on top over here, we have use history, right? That's basically why I imported use history. We're going to have to redirect the user using the use history function, okay? Which is pretty simple. Now go back. Right above your sign in with Google function, create a new function. We're going to create a new function, but before that, let's create a little constant, okay? I'm going to call this constant history, okay? Now there are 4 ways of defining a variable in JavaScript. Can anybody tell me what the 4 ways are? Let me pick. Selva Prasad, you tell me. What are the 4 ways of declaring a variable in JavaScript?
Let,
Okay.
var,
What else? Okay, you gave me 2. That's enough. Sengar will tell me the other 2.
No, const
Okay, and the last one, global scope. Which
var
one?
சொல்லிட்டானா
var சொல்லிட்டான். let சொல்லிட்டான். global scope ஓட ஒன்று இருக்குமே. What is it?
சொல்லிட்டானா
scope,
There's one declaration with global scope. What is it? Window.
சேஞ்ச் கூட போடணும்
Window. Yeah.
ஆமா ஆமா
So that's 4 scopes, guys, okay? One is let, and the other one is const, the other one is var, and the last one is window. Okay, when you use window, you'll do window dot. You can't just do window space, okay? You'll do window dot. Okay, so those are 4 different types, 4 different ways of defining a variable. So what we want to do is define a const here, because the value of the history thingy won't change. The value of this history variable won't change. So if you use const, this value can't be modified. Okay, so I'm going to say const history is equal to use history. I'm basically calling that function that I use on top over here, okay? I'm using that function down here. I'm calling that function and I'm assigning its output to the history to the history variable, okay? That's all we're doing. Do that really quick. Once you've done that, respond to my message. All of you done? 23. Make it really quick, guys. We have to start working on the home page today. We can't delete any further. $27. Okay. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to create something called a subscription, okay? So think of it this way. Firebase has a database, right, that stores all the user information. And let's say you are logged in to this device on 2 different tabs, okay? You're logged in on this one single computer to the same website on 2 different tabs. You log out on one tab. You have to automatically get signed out from the other tab as well, right? How does this happen? You create something called a subscription. So what the subscription does is, it's more like a stream. It'll constantly keep checking if the data being sent and received is valid. So for instance, if I create a subscription to the authentication status on the backend, it's going to constantly keep checking if the user is authenticated or not. So the minute the user becomes, the user is no longer authenticated, the stream is gonna say, hey, you're not authenticated anymore, so I'm gonna have to do something about it. So that's what a stream basically does. So we're gonna write a little stream here, and I'm going to copy paste the stream. This is again from the Firebase documentation, so you don't have to write any custom code, okay? Literally just copy paste it. And I'm going to paste the same thing into the chat. Once you paste it in right below the history function, react to that message, okay? Just copy paste what I sent in the chat right below the history function, and react to the message. So that's basically going to run when the page loads. So when the page loads, and it's gonna create a stream, and it's just gonna keep running in the background infinitely. So at the bottom, what happens is, okay, you guys finished copy pasting that first, and then I'll explain how this works. $22. Make it really quick, guys. Copy pasting shouldn't take you long. $28, $29. Come on, faster. It's not that difficult for you guys to just copy paste, is it? Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Now what happens is, in case the person logs in, you need to redirect them, right? So how do you know when to redirect them? How do you know when the user has successfully signed in? So this function over here, right, on auth state changed, this function here will constantly keep listening to see if the user has been authenticated or not. So at the bottom, when you call this function and you sign in the user successfully, this function will automatically know that the authentication status has changed. It will detect that the user has logged in. So when the user has logged in, it has to do some function, right? It has to do some operation. So we're going to do that operation down here in this line. We're simply going to say history dot push, and we're going to pass in a value of /home. Okay, just that one line, history dot push /home. So what it basically does is it takes the browser history, or that website's history in the browser, and it'll push a path. It'll push the following path /home to the history. So what this basically does is it forces the user to get redirected to the /home route. Okay, and this will run only after the user has authenticated with Google. Once that is done and it is successful, on-auth state change will recognize that change in state, and so it'll automatically redirect the user using this line. That's basically what that line does. So I'm gonna paste that line. You guys can copy paste it again if you are finding it difficult to type it in. So once you've done that, just react to that message really quick. Once that is done, I'm going to move on to the next file. This is done. The authentication thingy works perfectly. So Just get that done with really quick. This is going to throw an error because once you successfully sign in with Google, and it'll automatically try to redirect you to the slash homepage, right? Which doesn't exist yet. So that's going to throw an error. And even the 404 won't work because we haven't defined a 404 route. So that's two things for us to do right now. I'm going to skip the 404 route creation thingy for now. That's we'll just avoid 404s for now, and we'll just save time. 25 people. Once you've done that, next thing I want you to do is go into the pages folder and create a new page. Okay, let's call this home.jsx. Home with a capital H. Okay, home.jsx. Make that really quick. All of you done? Once you've created the home.jsx, all of you react to that message if you're finished typing in the entire login code. Do that really quick. React to that message so I'd know. Okay, 30. What's happening? Six of you. There's 35 people watching the stream, but I only get 31 reactions. 4 if you are not reacting. Haven't been reacting since the beginning. Come on, make it faster, guys. 33. Okay, I'm just gonna go on to the next thing. Homepage. All you're gonna do is you're going to create a simple functional component. Okay, so just to export default function home, and we're gonna do return in here. And I'm gonna say h2 home. That's it. Do that really quick. Once you've done that, save the file and leave it as it is for now. Just leave this file as it is. Do that really quick. React to my message once you created the home page. You don't even have to import React, okay? The only reason I made you import React on the first day was because in case you're using class components, or in some cases you would use the word React itself inside your functional component. In those cases, you need to import React. You don't have to import React otherwise, but I thought this would, help you guys save a lot of time in the future if you guys make it a habit of importing React. What it'll basically do is it'll show up as a warning on your command line, but you can ignore that. But you don't have to import React unless you're specifically using React. And I'll show you how that is done when we're creating a class component. So do the home page and react to that message really quick. This is like basic, right? These 3 lines. Everybody should know this by heart by now. Really simple syntax. So just make it really quick. What we're going to do is we're going to create a home page. We've created the home page already. We're going to create something called, we're going to create another route, the /home route. And once that is done, we're going to view it in the browser with no authentication checks whatsoever. So anybody who's not even logged in can still go to that home page route for now. We're going to do a little designing. And once you finished, the basic design, we can then start working on our higher order component. So let's just do that really quick. Or probably what we can do is we can just check if the page loads, and then we can write the higher order component. That would be a more straightforward way of doing it. 26, make it fast, guys. 3 lines of code. It shouldn't take you long. Done. 32. Okay. Now what you do is open app.js, and inside app.js add another route here. Done? This doesn't exist yet. We'll import it on top. Once you do that, just import it on top as well, okay? All of you done? Once you've come this far, you should look at the output, and you should have automatically gotten redirected to your home page. Go back and look at your output. You would have automatically gotten redirected to your home page. Make it really quick, guys. Once you've gotten the output, you should be on the home page and you should see the word home. Once you get the output, just react to my message, okay? It's gonna look like this. You're automatically gonna get redirected because you're already logged in, and you're going to be redirected to the /home route. Do that really quick and react to my message if you've gotten the output so far. Done? Five people have gotten the output. Come on, guys, make it fast. All you gotta do is import home and make a route called home, and the output should appear automatically. That's all you had to do. But 20 of you haven't gotten the output. Why are you guys stuck? Let me know if you're stuck somewhere, because this next part is going to involve changing the route a little bit, and so make sure you get this run right and you get the output, or you'll be dealing with two different bugs at the same time. Failed to compile. Can't resolve pages /home. Stop the app and restart it again. In that case, you'll get the output. So I told you, right, sometimes you won't get the output with the head shemar. Sometimes you would get the output. In case you don't, when you add new pages and make changes to the file system, sometimes you'll have to restart the application. Just do that, it should work.
Anna, can you show me your login.js?
Okay.
Scroll to the first line. $27. What about the rest? 6 of you. You guys following along? Is anybody stuck?
React to the message on top if you got in the output. 28. Okay. 5 of you. 4. Vishnu Simhar, you forgot to import this line. Look at line 2. Import use history from React Router DOM. Type the line into your imports.
I have used it now.
Show me your code.
1 second.
Can I show the last line
Which
I
last
mean,
line?
as of login.jsx? I guess
Which part exactly?
there's a problem with the closing braces with mutex.
Okay. Who's this?
Aaron.
Okay, do one thing. Just copy Fabian's code. Look at Fabian's code on top. Just copy the entire thing and paste it into your login.jsx file and save it.
Login.js.
Yeah, just do that.
Okay.
One more thing, guys. Notice what happens here. Every time I write some code and I save it, it automatically formats itself. If you guys don't have that set up, what you do is right click and you see this option that says format document. Always click on format document. That will make your code more readable. It'll look more clean. It'll be more readable. So you can easily figure out which brace is missing or like which closing tag is missing. You can find out all that stuff really quick. Your spelling of use history is wrong. Vishnu Simhar, check the spelling. Alright, done. Can we move on? 30 people got the output. Vishnu should have gotten it. React to that message. 31. Who else? Aaron got it. Aaron?
Yes, Anna.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on then. That's about login.js. Now what we'll do is, you got in the output, right? All of you got the output. It says home, right? And you're on the home page. Now what we got to do is, we need to protect the route. So the way we do it is, remember I told you, let's go back to our whiteboard again once more. And let's see. I explained what higher order components do, right? Already. All of you following along? So we have a route. And we have exact blah blah blah. And we have a path. And it leads to some path. And we also have component. And it's gonna give us some component, right? That's the entire route. That's how we basically define a route, right? That's the entire format. The problem is, this component right here, let's say we are rendering the home component. Do all of you follow up until here? All you do is write the route component. Oh wait, let me just take a screenshot of it instead. That'll be neater for you. All of you see it? It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what happens is, you have already created a component called home. This oh okay. Okay, so this will contain the code for your home page. Once the user is logged in. And from here you can basically create nodes. You can do a sign out. You can change your password, blah blah blah. You can, that's your imagination, you can put whatever you want inside. Now what happens is, when you define this component under this route and link it, pass it as a lower order component to a higher order component called route, the job of route is to basically take this and directly render it into the real DOM, right? The actual DOM. That's basically the job of the route component. There is a small problem. Anybody who goes to /home will be able to access the home component, right? Because the job of route is to simply take the home component and then just output it to the real DOM. That's the job of route. To all of you understand up until here. Simple na solran. The contents inside the home component, right? Whatever is returned from inside the home component, you have return statement and you have some code, right? Whatever comes from the return statement would directly be sent over to the route component as a prop. Okay, this prop will then be received by the route component, and it will be rendered as normal HTML, CSS and JS in the real DOM. Does it make sense till here? Just react to the message if it makes sense. $27, $28, $29. Guys, react really quick or ask me it out. Doesn't take you more than 2 seconds to think. Okay, I'm just gonna move on. So that's basically how it happens so far. Now the problem is, we want to be able to protect this route, this particular /home route, and make it visible only to people who are logged in, right? Only people who are logged in. In case, what happens if a person is not logged in? What do we do in that case? In case a person is logged in, you show them the home component. In case they are not logged in, what do you do then? What would be the most logical thing to do? I'm gonna pick a random person. Let's see. Roshita, you tell me. Pretty easy. Roshita, are you here? Alright, let's see. Steve and John. Steve and John is not here. Varshini.
Yes or no?
What would you do if a person is not logged in and they're trying to access a route that can be seen only by a person when they're logged in?
Yeah, we have to redirect them to the sign in with Google page again.
Okay, perfect. That's basically what I wanted. In case that happens, you take them to the /route, because that's the login route for us, right? So you take them there. Now what happens is, this route higher order component cannot do that job for us, because route has only one job: take the component, render it to the actual DOM. So instead of route, we'll have to replace route with our own custom higher order component. So I'm going to call this custom higher order component private route. Okay, Wanna just replace the word route over here with the word private route. Rest of it remains exactly the same. Then what we'll do is, we're going to create a file called privateroute.jsx, and inside this privateroute.js, we'll create a JS file, privateroute.js, and inside this privateroute.js file, we are going to receive a prop. We're going to write a function. We're going to export a main function that receives a prop, and then what it does is, it calls firebase and it checks if the person is logged in or not. In case the person has logged in, then it shows them, it renders the component passed to it. This component comes from where? It comes from the prop, right? It renders the component. In case the person is not logged in, we'll do a redirect. to the slash route. Does the entire logic make sense? This is the entire logic for your higher order component, our custom higher order component, which we're going to replace route with. எல்லாருக்கும் புரியுதா இந்த ஸ்டெப் என்ன பண்ண போறோம்ட்டு? React to my message if you understood what we're going to write now. Does anybody have doubts? Ask me right now, because any application you build will, not any application, but most applications you will have to build with React will have a log and logout system, especially for like even the ERP. Remember how I said we'll have to write our own JS SDK for authentication? Anga vandittu you'll have to make heavy use of this private route feature. Alright, 30 if you understood. So now what we'll do is let's go back to our browser. We can start writing the code for that. You can close this app. Don't close this app.js. Instead, what you do is just change the word route on the home component. Okay, only the home route. Just change the word route to private route. Okay, change it to private route, and your output should throw an error automatically because private route doesn't exist yet. We're gonna create it now. So on top, what you do is just import private route. Import private route from /private route. This doesn't exist yet. We're going to create it in a minute. So just do import private route from /private route. Okay. All of you make these two changes. Change route to private route. Import private route from /private route. Once that is done, react to my message. Make it really fast. We'll have to finish at least the private routing page by today. And once you do that, as usual, you'll have to create inside your source directory, not inside pages. Okay, don't forget pages for now. Directly inside source directory. Okay, create a page called private route.js. Okay, this is on the same level as your index and app.js file. Okay, the private route.js file is on the same level as your index and app.js. In case it gets created inside the pages folder by mistake, just click on it and drag it outside and drop it. It'll get moved automatically. That's all you have to do. Make sure it's on the same level as your app.js file. Okay, so once you create private route.js, react to that message. Okay, make it really quick. We have a lot to go. 27. Okay, done. All of you done. Now what we'll do is open private route. We're gonna start coding the actual private route here. Okay. First thing I want you to do is import React from React. Done. Once you do that, I want you to import the redirect function from React.dom. And once you do that, I want you to import Firebase. Alright. And once you import Firebase from Firebase/app, I want you to import linear progress from material device slash core slash linear progress. Okay, I'm just going to copy the entire 4 lines. All these are the dependencies that we would make use of at the bottom in our code. I'll tell you what each line does in a minute. So once you have those 4 lines, just copy paste it from what I typed in, okay? Once you have those 4 lines, react to that message. React will be used to create, since this is going to be a class component, we'll be using the keyword react as well. Redirect is used to redirect the user to the login page in case they are logged out. Firebase, you know what Firebase is used for, to check if they're authenticated or not. Linear progress is basically a stylish sort of progress bar. So we're going to show the progress bar to the user in case of loading, and when the loading finishes, we're going to disable the progress bar, and we're going to redirect them to either the home page or the login page. So that's what all 4 of them do. Done. This file is going to be a little tricky, but it's going to be way easier than making a functional component that does the same thing. And I'll show you why, basically. Because as long as you're working with props, right? In a way, working with props is easier in functional components, but we have scoping issues, and it in some places it gets very tricky to handle scoping with props inside a functional component. Whereas with a class component, you have something called a super function, which you can basically use to access your props from any internal function. So when you're using props and you need access to the props to manipulate it, and it gets really complex, use class components. That would be a more cleaner way. It'll save a lot of time. 24 people reacted. Let's see, how many more? 5. Okay, make it quick, guys. Copy pasting. Okay, here's how we create a class component. Functional. What do you do for a function component? You do export default function, name of the function, parentheses, braces, right? That's a functional component. For a class component, it's pretty much the same thing, except you have an extra step in between. The way you would define a class in JavaScript is you would say class and then the name of the class, private route, and then you would extend react dot component. Okay, and once you do that, you have an opening and a closing brace. So all if you do that, so over here you're basically extending from a React component, right? Which is why you import React on top. And this is the name of your class. This is what we're going to export. We're going to export this class as a component entirely. That's why it's called a class component instead of a functional component. In a functional component, you would export a function as a component. In a class component, you will export a class as a component. I hope that makes sense. So once you do the declaration, once you create your class here, get ready to start typing in the next line. Here's where we're going to do some construction work. Literally, we're going to work with a constructor. So I'll tell you how that works. All of you react to my message once you create the class. So I'll know we can start writing our constructor. After today's session, the code might look kind of scary. Some of you might feel like giving up, but it's not very complicated. It may look complicated, but the more you do it, the more you just get used to it, and you'll figure out, oh, so if this is, if I want to do this, then I gotta do this. And the minute you see a piece of code, you're gonna be like, oh, so this code does this. You're gonna figure it out by yourself the more you do it. So it might look very complex to some of you and confusing, but don't get demotivated looking at it. Okay, it's pretty simple. It's very easy. I'll explain it part by part. 26 people have created a class. The rest of you, 7 people remaining, do it really quick, please. 6, 5, 4. Okay, 3 of you, 2 of you. Okay, let's see. 32. One more person. Come on, quick. 32. Okay, 33. Perfect. So now what you're going to do is you're going to create a constructor, okay? I'm going to write constructor, and we're going to pass the props that we receive into the constructor. remember I told you we're going to pass another component into this private route component. So the other component that you're passing into this is what will be received as a prop. So we're making a constructor, and we're going to use this constructor as a template, okay? And we have a constructor, and we can create an object from this constructor basically. So I have a constructor, and I'm passing props to it, inside which I have to declare something called super of props. I'll come to this. I'll explain this as we do more coding, okay? For now, just do super of props, and once that is done, we will have to write another line. Sorry, we'll have to set something called a state. Again, state. What is state? I'm gonna ask somebody who has been here since the beginning. Let's see. Praveen Rijal, are you here? Praveen, can you unmute yourself? Alright, you're gonna say no mic, I know. Okay, said no, not sure. Okay, let's see. Rohan Jabaraj, you tell me, what is state? I told you on the very first day of React what state is. You hear, Rohan? What is this? What is state? What do I mean when I say state? Just give me one word. It stores something. Data, basically. A state basically refers to data that is inside the component, right? The data contained by the component is state. State can keep changing. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a state, and I'm going to have a couple of variables, and these variables are going to hold certain data, okay? And I'm going to define what each variable should hold initially. So as more work happens on the component, the data stored in these variables can keep changing, and as they keep changing, your state would also keep changing, right? That's basically changing the state of the component. So we'll have to define the initial state right now. So I'm going to type this dot state. When I say this, I'm basically referring to the context here. The context meaning this particular class, the state inside this class. Okay, I'm going to say this dot state is equal to, and a pair of opening and closing braces, inside which I'm going to define each variable now. So I can define a variable and the initial state of that variable, okay? So I'm going to say is loaded, and I'm going to set this to false. That's it. So we're defining a variable called is loaded, and we are assigning it a state of false. So when this component loads, initially the value of is loaded will be false, okay? So the state of is loaded will be false when the component loads. And as more and more work happens, as we, as loading finishes, or as we run into an error or something, the state of is loaded can be changed automatically, dynamically. And how we're going to access this is through the constructor. As long as you put all of this inside a constructor, you can access it from anywhere, from any other function that you create below the constructor, okay? So that's basically what you've done so far. Have all of you completed writing the code up until now? I'm just going to copy this and paste it into the chat. In case you're confused, just type that in and react to that message once you've created your constructor along with your state assignment, okay? The rest of it is very simple, okay? Just this constructor part alone might be a little confusing. The rest of it is super simple. You just have to listen carefully, and it's all just if else condition, and super simple, okay? I'm just gonna tell you how it happens. 24 people. The rest of you, can you please do it a little faster? We have to finish this file and do a perfect login logout system by the end of this. Logout is really simple. I'll teach you guys how to do that. That's just calling a firebase function. Okay, 30 people. The rest of you catch up really quick. Now what you're going to do is below the constructor, we're going to use a function. We're going to use an inbuilt function that is a part of React. This function is available only inside a class component, okay? Make very clear note of this. The function that I'm going to write now is an inbuilt function from React and is available only inside a class component. You cannot use this inside a functional component, okay? This function is only in a class component. So the name of the function is component did mount. Okay, I'll tell you what this does. Just type in component did mount. You should get the suggestions all from Emmet automatically. So once you get the suggestions, just hit enter, and we'll start writing the code for this function. Component did mount checks for basically what happens is, I told you a React view is composed of multiple components, right? And the job of this function right here is to check if this particular component, this whole class component that you're writing here, from line 6 to line 17, we have a whole class component, right? The job of this function is to check if this component has loaded or not. The minute it loads, it'll start running whatever is inside this function. So when we say mount here, we're basically talking about loading. We're talking about checking whether or not this component has been mounted into the view. That's basically what this does. This is the same as, vanilla JavaScript, where you'd say the onload function, right? You guys know what the onload function does in normal JavaScript, like vanilla JavaScript. That's basically what component did mount will do. It'll run whatever is inside it when the component mounts into the view. Until then, it'll just hold it. So that's basically what we're going to do right here. All if you're done up until here, just react to that message if you're finished writing the component did mount function. Make it really quick, please. 17, 18, 19. Good. Let's just keep up with the pace. We should be done with this page. Okay, now inside this, I'm gonna copy paste a firebase function. Okay, a firebase function. This is the entire function, and inside this, we are going to write some custom code of our own. So I'm gonna paste that function, copy paste it inside the component did mount. Okay, this function would basically check and see if the user is signed in or not. That's all this function does. It's basically a subscription function. We already use this in the login page already, if you guys remember. It's the exact same function, but we're going to write some custom code inside it now. Okay, make it really quick. React to that message once you've copy pasted it and you're ready to start coding. Only 23 of you have finished. Make it fast, guys. Okay, now what you do is over here, can you see the little braces at the end? In between the braces, hit enter. We're gonna insert some code in between those braces. Just put your cursor between the braces and hit enter. We're gonna write some code here. So all this code is gonna get executed after this function has been called, and a response after we've gotten a response. So this function gets called, and this function is going to return some data, right, saying whether the user is logged in or not. That data will get written to the user variable here, and this user variable will be accessible inside this block of code. So we're going to do something with the user variable that we got over here. We're going to check if or else statement. Now what happens is, if the person is logged in, this variable, right, this user variable will have some data written into it. In case the user is not logged in, the user variable will not have any data inside it. It'll basically be undefined or null. So all we got to do is check if the user variable holds data inside it or not, to see if the person is logged in or not. So I'm going to say if user, and if in case the user is logged in, we're going to do some function. In case the person is not logged in, we're going to do else, and we're going to do some other function at the bottom. Okay, if he's logged in, we do something here. In case he's not logged in, we do something else at the bottom in the else condition. So just to if user, this word that we type in, this variable that we type in here, will basically check if the word, if user has some data inside it or not. That's it. Okay, so you don't have to, like, you know, check is not equal to empty or is equal to define. You don't have to do any of that. Just do if of user. It'll treat it like a boolean expression to check if it holds some data or not alone. That's the way this works in JavaScript. So yeah, do that really quick. Or if you're done, once you've done this, react to my message. Come on guys, make it faster. What happened to the rest? 5 of you remaining. Make it quick. Alright, so once that is done, we are going to do something called a set state. Okay, we're going to set the state of the current status. Okay, check if the user is logged in or not. So what I'm going to do is, remember on top over here, I basically created a state over here and I said is loaded false. We're going to have to change this state to true, because once this function finishes running, the loading is basically finished, right? And we have an answer. We have yes or no as our answer. So all we got to do is set the state of is loaded to true now. So how do we update the state? We use a function called set state. Okay, in order to use set state, all you got to do is type this. So I'm basically giving it a context. When I say this, I'm referring to the state inside this component. So I'm saying this dot state, set state, and we're gonna have, this is basically a function, so we're gonna have parentheses inside which I'm gonna put some JavaScript code. So we're gonna have a pair of braces, and I'm gonna write some code inside this. Okay, well, if you do that, and once that is done, just type is loaded and set this to true. Okay, once it is set to true, I also want you to set user to user. I'll tell you what this does. Just do those two lines alone. Two different variable assignments. Okay, is loaded will be set to true, and we're creating a variable dynamically here called user, and we're setting the value of user to the value of user that we get back from the function here. Okay, this function has a return variable called user, right? So we're taking the data from that user variable and I'm assigning it to another variable here called user, so we can hold it in state. Okay, all if you're done, set state on top. Once you've written the first set state function, react to my message so I'll know you guys have done set state. Okay, good. So there's like 10 of you who do it really quickly all the time. 20, 21, 22. Okay, good. Now what you would do is copy this entire set state function. Okay, this entire set state function, copy it, paste it inside the else part as well. Only difference is user would be set to false, because even if you know the user is not logged in, the loading is technically finished because you have your answer. Whether it's yes or no, you have your answer. So loading should be set to true in either case. The only difference is that your user variable should be set to false because the person is not logged in. So you need to tell your class component that the user is not logged in. So I'm setting the user variable to false. We're going to access this user variable later on the bottom of the program to check if the user is logged in or not. So here all we've done is we have manipulated the state alone. Okay, so in state we'll know if the user is logged in or not, but at the bottom we'll have to do a render function to render a component, right? So we'll have to decide what we're going to render based on the state. So I hope that made sense to all of you. That's all the code that you have to put. There's one more piece inside the component dead mount function. Did all of you read the second state? All of you respond to my second message in case you have finished typing in the second set state thingy. 18, 19, 20, 21. Faster, guys. And lastly, what you have to do is this dot state would basically set the context to this component, right? And you're setting a state, right? Now what you gotta do is bind this. Okay, you gotta bind this. Whatever you've written, you need to bind it to this. So how do you do that? At the bottom here, right? Where this function, where you see where it gets over, this firebase function. I click on this brace over here. You see the ending brace is in line 27. So right after this brace, you gotta bind the state of this. Okay. So to do that, you just type dot bind, and you pass this into it. Okay, that's the only thing you gotta do. So your component dead mount function is complete now. I'm just gonna copy that and paste it into the code. Once you finish the entire function, react to that message. So now you have a piece of code that will run when the component mounts into view, and when it mounts into the view, you're basically checking the login status. Based on what the status is, you are setting your variables to true or false. So using this, you can now target and do the appropriate action at the bottom. Okay, 17 people. Make it really quick. We need to write more code here. The actual render function has to be written here. Now, if you guys remember in your functional component, what would you do? You would simply say return, and you would put some code. It will return that code, right? In a class component, what you have to do is you have to have a function called the render function. The render function will then return something inside of it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I'm going to show you how it's done. So in a class component, before you return something, you gotta enclose the return statement inside a render function. So I'm going to do render, and inside render we're going to return something. But here's a little problem. We have to decide what we're going to render, right? What we're going to return, sorry. We have to decide what we have to return, and we will make that decision based off of the state of the user. We're going to check if the user's state has been set to, logged in or logged out or false or whatever, and based on that we're going to return a specific component. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to create two variables here. Const is loaded and user, and we're going to set this to this dot state. Okay, do that first. Once that is done, you basically have two different variables to which you're setting the state, this dot state, to those two variables. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to access these two at the bottom, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check if the loading is finished. So to do that, you'll just do this: if is loaded, except you're going to check if loading has finished, right? So I'm going to negate this. So if loading has been set to false, this condition will be true. So in case it is true, the code at the bottom should be returned. Okay, sorry, if loading condition is false, okay, is false, then you have to return this piece of code at the bottom. Just do it up until here and wait for my instructions. I'll tell you what to return. All of you done? If you've written the code up until here, just react to that last message that I sent. We're gonna write a little return statement inside this, okay? Okay, inside a return statement, here's how it's gonna work. In case the loading is still happening, this will be false, right? And if it is false, then we'll have to show a loader on the middle of the screen. So I'm gonna show a loader on the middle of my screen. And to do that, I'll basically copy paste the code that I wrote yesterday, okay? Here's code that I wrote yesterday. It's the exact same code that I wrote yesterday inside my index page, the login page. So I'm just going to copy that for you and paste it in here. Just copy paste it inside the render statement, okay? This is basically like a parent div that will make that'll be 100 viewport height and 100 viewport width. That's what this element does. inside which we're going to put a loader. This loader is going to be the material design loader, okay? Copy paste it really quick. Once that is done, we are going to do linear progress / linear progress. So that's going to be a progress bar, and we're going to say class name is equal to width 25. So it's going to have a width of 25% of the entire screen width. So that's going to be our little progress bar. So this progress bar is going to be rendered in case loading is false, which means it's still loading. So this will be returned. Now in case loading gets over, we'll have to return check for another case. We'll have to check if the user is logged in or not, right? So let's do that now at the bottom. All of you done up until here? Once you've done, just react to that message. So now 16 people, 17 people. Make it really fast, please. $27, make it faster, guys. $29. Okay, perfect. Now what we're gonna do is, first condition has been checked. We're gonna check a second condition, okay? Else. Now, in case loading has finished, there's only two possibilities. So I'm going to put both possibilities inside another if-else block, okay? We can actually do else if, but that might be confusing to some of you, so I'll just make it even more simpler by doing if-else inside and else again. So what we're going to do is, in case loading is finished, right, you're going to have a component, right? So what we do is, we're going to say const, oh wait, you don't even have to do this instead. Instead, what we'll do is we'll put another if statement, and let's do else inside. Okay, so your loading is finished, and in case loading is finished, it'll come to the else block. In the else block, there are two conditions you have to check. Is the user logged in or is the user logged out? So based on that, you have to return a specific answer. So I'm going to check if the user is logged in. In case the user is logged in, what do we do? I'm going to pick somebody and ask. Let's say Raksha, you tell me. What do you return if the user is logged in?
It redirects to the home page.
It doesn't redirect to the home page, that's the thing. Okay, yeah, but the answer was half correct, I would say. Okay, here's what happens. Remember I told you from the whiteboard? Let's go to the whiteboard again. Look at the whiteboard very carefully, okay? I said this component, the home component, gets passed to the higher order component. Higher order component would render it. There's no redirection. It directly renders. So the person is technically on the home page already. He's on /home. So if you look at the entire code, right, the entire code that we're writing here, this entire code in private route.js, this entire code will take place, this entire logic would take place as the user is on the /home route itself. It doesn't happen in between. It happens on the /home route. The only thing is we show them a loader until the logic finishes completely. And once the logic completes, we have an answer saying yes or no. In that case, what we do is, in case the person is logged in, all we have to do is render the component that was passed to it. So in our case, what we did was we passed the home component to the higher order component, right? So that only has to be rendered, that's it. We don't have to redirect, we have to render it. In case the person is not logged in, then you'll have to redirect them to just the / route, which is a login route. So that's basically what we're going to do right now. So what I'm going to say is return, and we're going to say component. But if you notice, component has not been defined yet. So we're going to have to define component. So on top of this, just add another line that says const component is equal to, and where does this component code come from? Remember, we are passing the home component to this private route, right? Home component comes from private route, comes into the private route, and we'll have to assign that to the component variable and then render it. So how is it passed in here? Let me see, who do I ask? Mark Gerald, you tell me.
Can you repeat again?
So the home component is passed into the private route. Once it is passed in here, we have to receive it and then assign it to this JavaScript variable called component. Once it is assigned, we can render it. So how does it get passed into the private route?
It's using props.
Exactly, using props. So what you do is you need to access the props and you need to assign it to the component. So you'll simply do this dot props dot component to the small c. That's it. Okay. So you're accessing the props and you're receiving the component that is passed through the props to this class, this context, and you're going to assign it to the JavaScript variable component. Then you're going to render it. Now, in case the person has not been logged in, we need to redirect them, right? So over here, what we're going to do is we're going to say return, and we're going to simply return a redirect function. Let's just say redirect to, and we need to pass in a variable called the path name, which is going to be slash. Okay, I hope you guys got that. In case he is not logged in, you will simply have to return a redirect component. The redirect component will take in an argument called path name, and you'll give the path that you want to redirect them to. Once you give this and you return, if you simply return a redirect component, the redirect will forcefully happen automatically. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to take the code for the else condition and I'm going to paste it in the chat in case any of you are stuck. React to that message the minute you finish coding it. With this, our entire thingy is over except one step. I'm going to call somebody and we're going to I'm going to have them tell me what the last step is. Very easy step. You've done it plenty of times before. You just need to figure out what that last step is. It's just one line of code. Once we do that, we're done. The private route should start working. Let's see, who do I call for this one? Kritika, you tell me. Yeah. What's the one thing that we're missing from this entire component? What are we missing in this component? We do this all the time to every component we create, but it's missing in this component. What is it? It's something very simple. I've scrolled all the way to the top. I'm giving you a clue basically.
Do we have to import something?
Do you have to? Can you repeat that? What did you say?
Do we have to import?
You don't have to import, it's the opposite. You have to export the component. Right? So we forgot to do that.
File.
Yeah, we forgot to export the component, so we're going to do that at the bottom. So just do export default and the name of the component, private route. That's it. So we have exported the entire class. Done? All of you done? Just add this last line over here. With this, you're going to export that component. 21 people have reacted. What about the rest? Finishes really quick, and we should have a fully working login system. And after which we're going to look at a logout system, and then I'm going to let you guys go. We started only at around 5.6, 5.7ish. So I'm going to take all the way up to 7.7ish. And for the logout function is really simple. It's just a button click and a function call. We'll finish that as well. Oh no, I missed something. We have to create a layout first. So yeah, we'll probably just try working on the layout for a bit. Can you send home.js content? I deleted it by mistake. There's nothing in the home.js content. 3 lines. "29 people have finished." Okay, really good. Now what I want you to do is go back to your browser, and inside your browser, let's just clear console, refresh the page, and it should work really well. Go back to your browser. You see it's at home, right? Just refresh the page. You should see a little loader at the center of your page, and it should show you home. Just do that. You can see the little loader effect. Do you see that? And now it shows you, once it loads, it shows you that you're on the home page. That's basically what this does. You can go to the slash route, take off home, go to the slash route. It'll say sign in for a second, and it'll redirect you automatically to the home. So we're not looking at the aesthetics, we're only looking at functionality here. Aesthetics, you guys will have to go back and tweak on your own once you familiarize yourself with the concepts, okay? So just do that first, and once that is done, we'll focus on the aesthetic stuff. Like, you know, just making sure there's a loader, making sure there's fade-in effects, stuff like that. All that comes later. Concept first. So just make sure you get the output just the way it looks for me, okay? All of you got it? React to my message once you guys have gotten it, okay? Now the problem is I can't show you how the redirect happens in case you're logged out, because actually I can show you, I will show you, but if you guys try it, it's gonna waste our time. So I'm just gonna go to firebase.google.com, and I'll go to my console, and I'm going to delete this user. So if I go into my project here and go to authentication and users, I'm gonna see my user, right? I'm just gonna delete this user, and let's go back to our page here and wait for a sec. Okay, now I'm gonna reload, and it says loading, and then it takes me back to the slash route. That's because my user no longer exists, right? I just deleted my account, so I'm basically signed out. So it takes me back to the login page. Sign in again, and let me choose my account. Once I choose my account, it should automatically redirect me to the home page. And if I reload it, you can see the loader works perfectly. After which, if I click back, it should take me back to my slash route, and the slash route will redirect me back to home because I'm logged in. I'll go back to the notebook and refresh. I can see my account created. I'll delete my account once more. Once that is done, refresh, loading, back to a slash route. So your protected route is not truly protected. It can only be accessed if you're logged in. So did everybody get the output? Did everybody understand the concept? Just react to my message, the last message that I posted, in case you have a fully working system. Jennifer Leslie does not contain a default export, imported as private route. What did you do? Show me the code for your private route.js file. Show me the top and the bottom alone. Guys, today what I basically showed you is a concept called conditional rendering, okay? Conditional rendering. I also taught you how to build your own higher order component, and I also taught you how to make async calls inside hooks, basically. Component did mount, component will update, all of these are hooks. So we basically looked at 3 different major concepts today. So I hope you guys are kind of satisfied. Let's see. Okay, Jennifer, can you show me the last bit of your code, the end? Okay, Jennifer, can you just right click on your code and click on format document, and then send another screenshot of the last which you just sent to me? The others, have you guys got it? 16 people have gotten the output. About 16 of you remaining. Tell me if you're stuck. I can help. We'll probably just finish off with this because the next part will take a while. We have to build a layout. It'll take a while to build the layout itself. So we'll probably come back and we'll build the layout in the next class tomorrow. Layout is super simple though. Which should I send? Just the last part? Yeah, just the last part. $20 people got the output. What about the other 33? 13. Did you guys get the output? Let me know if you're stuck somewhere. I'll help you. Okay, so there's like an extra whatchamacallit? You have an extra brace somehow. On line 48 you have a brace, right? Just delete that brace. Jennifer, on line 48 just delete that brace. Linear progress semicolon missing. Wait, let me see. That semicolon missing is not an issue. You made a mistake, Jennifer Leslie. Look at line 33. Look at the style attribute that you defined. You said height colon 100 VH. Width equal to 100 VH. That should be width colon 100 VH. The syntax is wrong. That's one mistake. Evan element type is invalid. Expected a string. Built-in comments with class function comes. Did you look at the last line? Okay, Jennifer. What you do is on line 33. Look at the part where it says style is equal to height 100 VH, width 100 VH, right? Look at the width. You have put an equal to that. It should be a semicolon. Sorry, colon. Use the right syntax. You got the syntax wrong. Ivan, what you do is show me a screenshot of the last part of your code. Ivan Wenford. Send a screenshot of the last part of your code alone. Ivan, can you please take a Windows screenshot? Ibtilan से empty हुआ है. Close the terminal, take a clean screenshot of your code. Okay. Export default. Okay, good. Close the terminal and send me the entire bottom. Is that where the code ends for you? Because you forgot an export statement at the bottom, I think. Jennifer, I want you to right click on the document and format document once. Okay. Evan, scroll up, take a screenshot of your component dead mount and your constructor class and send a photo. Sorry, I meant Jennifer, scroll up and take a screenshot of your component dead mount and send. Yeah, Jennifer, you're missing one closing brace. On line 48, just put the closing brace back and save the file. You're missing a closing brace there. Even copy your entire code and send it here. Okay, perfect. Even send your entire code here. Just copy paste the entire file and send it here. Even Winfo, just stop your app and restart it again. It looks fine only. The code looks fine. .45. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. One small mistake, Ivan. Look at line 45. The right hand side assignment, right? Where it should say component with a capital, with a small c, you've put capital C by mistake. Just fix that.
Yes.
Yeah, now tell me if you got the output. How many people remaining? 19 of you got the output. There's about 14 people more who should get the output. Who else is stuck? Tell me really quick. The others, if you're finished now, you can leave. I'm ending the session. If you're stuck, then tell me what's wrong.
Guys, I've posted the feedback form link in the text channel, so don't forget to fill it. Only if you fill it and if you attend the session for all of the days and if you finish the task, you will be given a certificate, so don't forget that. And Jessington, can you post a poll regarding the timings?
Prasad, just send your code. Private.js, just send the entire code here. $22 got the output. Good. 11 people remaining. Prasad, you made the same mistake. Line 41, the this.props.component iruklayya, anga the C should be lowercase. Okay. All of you, I think many of you made the same mistake. Look at this line that says this.props.component, right? This component here should be lowercase c. The one on the left side should be uppercase C, okay? And when you return, you don't return component/component. That's a bad practice. Make it close itself. What does this error mean? Nothing was returned from render. This usually means that it literally means you didn't return anything. So your return statement probably has a problem, or the stuff inside the return statement is undefined or null or something. Okay, good. Just react to that message, Selva Prasad, the others who fixed your problem. React to that message so I'll know the count. On top, output 22.
To those of y'all who still have doubts, y'all can join booth 1 or booth 2 and you will have people to guide y'all here. If you'll have doubts, join the breakout rooms, be booth 1 or booth 2, and you will have people to guide y'all there.
Ten people remaining. If you have a problem, then tell me quick, guys. What are you waiting for?
Thanks, na. Bye, na.
Bye bye.
Anna,
Yeah.
can I send my code?
Yeah.
Error vandadilla.
Yeah.
Same thing on me, but the component things and all are right.
Okay.
The same error popped up.
Send your code here.
Done.
The word component is plural. It should be singular. This props component, not components. Sharon?
Okay, now I'll change.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Who else?
Daniel, thanks. I'm Lane.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Guys, if you don't have doubts now, you can leave. Ilati, I won't know the count. I'll be waiting for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually it says my page is irresponsive, so my button is not working.
Your button is not working.
And I'm not, yeah,
Okay, can you stream?
yeah. Like
It'll become non-responsive when you create an infinite loop by mistake. So you basically run out of
it's
memory.
coming.
What's
It's coming
coming?
now.
Okay.
A1 now.
Okay, perfect.
It's coming. Working. Thank you now.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye now.
Dinesh Raj Jayasurya.
how do I
How do I stream your screen instead? Let me see the whole
I'm
thing.
using two different laptops.
Okay. Probably just take a screenshot with your phone. I mean, take a picture with your phone and send it to me. I'll look at it.
Do you want the code or do you want
The code. Show me the page and the code actually.
Anna, I got the order.
Okay.
Do you want the home.js?
No. I want just the private road.js page.
Okay.